excited to be live and working on summer romance. I'm going to kind of dilly-dally a little bit in the beginning here while everybody jumps on. I'm all set. I got the coffee and I got the water. My water's empty.
You're gonna have to take a pit stop halfway through.
Mm-hmm. So I just basically, I feel like I just got off the plane, but it was on Saturday night at 11 o'clock. And
you might want to move your mic up, I think.
Okay.
It's very
Let's
echoey.
move it up. Sound not good. All right. We got to make sure we're better. Maybe it's my voice too. Okay. So I'll try to be a little bit more enunciation.
Oh, hang on.
Here and
hang on. I bet you I know it.
Are we better?
Hang on.
All right. We're doing a little test. Okay, so this is when Kaylee says talk, this is what I usually do. I go 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. She's probably so sick of hearing that, right? So we're just getting our stuff together. We had to switch irons because one was not cooperating. All right, what you got? Oh yeah, let me just do that quick. I probably shouldn't do that on camera, right?
Yeah, but it's allergy season, so what are you gonna do?
Well, it's Texas season for me. Every time I'm in Texas, I get this because it's so hot and it's so cold in the building. So I run around with this cold nose all the time, and then before you know it, it starts dripping and I'm coughing, and you know, it does its thing to me every single time.
For me, it's the airplane.
It's the airplane?
Yeah. No matter
probably a
where
combination of everything.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm super excited that you're all here today, whether you're doing summer romance with us or not. Please ask some questions. Heidi is with us. Kaylee is with us here today, so they will make sure I don't miss anything. And if we do miss your question, just keep asking it. We'll figure it out. All right. So I know some of you have gotten started, and I have gotten started, obviously, because, you know, I have to be ahead of you guys. But I do have a full kit here with me, and I just want to show you quickly. I'm not all done with mine yet. I should be, but I am not. So the couple ones here, and of course I'm doing like the 16. So these are the ones that need something yet. This one just needs the knots in the flowers. So I want to grab 2 blocks out that have totally different wool. So those are the 2. So these are all done. These are, all the leaves are stitched. I always do the hard part first, and then I just have the flowers to stitch on those. But we're going to start right from the beginning with our project here because I want to cover every part of this so you have no questions at all and you know exactly what you're going to be doing. And some of this, like I said, it's going to be a refresher. I know there's a lot of you out there who have been stitching wool longer than I have, but let's just see what we can do to make this a little easier. So hopefully you got your pattern, you got your wool kit all figured out. So here are my 8 wools for my flowers. 8 wools. This one here must be my stems. And then we have the 4 wools for the leaves. And this one is for the big one. I don't know why we grabbed that one, but that's the one that we did. And then you need your background. So here is the graphite, and this is the first thing that we are going to start with because we can't do much without our background first, right? Kaylee, can you put on my comments for me? Thank you. All right, so we're going to open that pattern a little bit later, but I know there is a mistake in this pattern, and it says to starch your fabric. Now, is that a mistake? You can starch your fabric. It's not going to hurt anything, but there's no need to because we're going to oversize everything and then trim it down. So we are going to, there's really no need for starching because we're not patchworking. We're just sewing big blocks together with big borders. So there's really no need to starch. If you starched, it's okay. Matter of fact, I accidentally starched my piece here that I had hanging around for my borders because I thought it was my Moda Blockheads piece. So now I have a starched border, but no big deal, right? All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to take your fabric, your background, and you're going to read your directions, and it says you're going to cut 14 inches by width of fabric, and you're going to cut 4 14 by 14 squares for the small one, 9 for the medium size, and 16 for the large. So we are going to get, let's say, 3 out of each 14-inch strip. So then if you need to cut 4 of them, you're going to cut 2 14 inches, and then the 9, do the math, kind of like that. All right, so, but the first thing I want you to do is I want you to remove your borders from this piece of fabric so you don't touch that. And then you're going to label it so you don't think it's something else like I did. All right, so whatever size you're making, where it says from remaining fabric cut, you're just going to do 1 cut length of fabric. All right, so I'm going to find my end right here. I have my end here. Both of them are together. And I'm going to, I always do this if it's not already done. So I could tell that this is a cut. I don't want a cut. I want a rip. So I'm just going to take about 1 inch here, and I'm going to rip this edge. See, obviously I didn't cut big enough. All right, so I got to do it again. So that's how uneven these are when we cut them across. All right, so now this edge that I have here is straight of grain, and it's ready to go. Yes, it looks like this. All right, and it looks wobbly, and it looks like you stretched out it looks like bacon neck. All right, we don't need bacon neck. It'll be fine. We will press it all into place. So now, if this is the big kit, I need to cut off 70 inches because my biggest border is 68. So I'm going to measure 70. So on my makeshift little ruler here, and I know we have nicer ones at home, I'm going to measure 20. And I'm doing this on the selvage. 20, so that's 40. And then I need 70. So I'm going to go 60 and then 10. All right, so maybe a little ½ inch because I'm already a little bit big anyways. So I'm just going to do another snip, and I'm going to rip, selvage to selvage. Now this is my borders. So whether you're doing the 4-block one, you're going to cut 44 inches. And then for the middle one, you're going to measure 57 inches and rip across. And then you're going to save this. You're going to put a tag on it, and it's going to say borders. All right. Whatever we have left is for our blocks. So now on the selvage, we're going to measure 14 inches. And I'm going to leave the selvages on. I always leave the selvages on. So then, is that a 10? Yeah, okay. I'm going to put this here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to use my mat just for this because this is big cutting. This is oversized cutting. This is not precise cutting. You never use your mat for any precise cutting. So now I'm going to rip again. So this is 3 blocks, and I'm going to continue to do that till I have as many blocks as I need. So let's see, I need 5 for 16 of them, 5, so I need 6 cuts like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to leave my selvages on there again because I'm going to trim this block, right? So why waste the time trimming them off? Just leave them there. So I'm going to put my selvages probably a little bit longer there because I can. And I'm just going to snip at 14 here like that. And I did it through both of them. So there's 2 of my blocks. And then this one here is probably a little big. You can trim it to 14 if you want, or you can just leave it, because we're going to trim it down later when we're done. So now what I have left here is 15 inches. And it's going to look a little wonky, and that's okay. All right. So then what we're going to do, and you're going to keep doing that for however many you need throughout your whole fabric here. I don't think we need for me to do that all day here, do we? If you want me to, I will. Just let me know. But I think I could work with the 3 that I have here to show you how I would prep these now to get ready for tracing and laying out our blocks. And again, I apologize. My voice is a little funny, a little nasally, but we'll work through it, okay? All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take all of my blocks, whether it's 4 or 9 or 16, and if they look a little wonky, that's okay. You can give them a little stretch the other way to straighten them out. But then I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to press them. So see how nice and flat they'll lay down. And then I always put in, and I fold them, and I put in a couple little creases here, so I know placement on my block. So you're going to do this for every one of your blocks. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions so far?
There was a question about free check.
All right.
So, do you suggest free checking the background blocks before you stitch them?
Do I suggest that? That's a good question. I do not, because they're oversized. If they were pretty close, if they were like 13 inches or something like that, but I have plenty of fabric. So if you want to, I think it's a personal thing. You could go in and freight check these so they don't unravel. However, when you look at all my blocks over here, see, none of them are really stringy or anything like that. So they all look really nice yet because we ripped straight of grain. If we would have cut them, they would be really frayed. All right, but because we ripped all on the straight, it's not going to be, they're not going to be really that annoyingly stringy. I hope that makes sense. All right, I'll do the last one over here quickly so you can see just how we work. And I probably shouldn't be ironing on this mat and on my thing, so I'm going to kind of do just a quick job. But if you like to fray check, by all means, you can do it. Or you could run a line of stitching, 1/8 inch stitching along the edges as well. So do you get the idea of what you're all going to do here for this? You're just going to get them all lined up like that and ready to go. And you're going to set them aside until you have all the time to get them done. All right, so that's how you prep your background. All right, any other questions on that? What quilt is she working on late to the show? We are working on Summer Romance, and it is a brand new stitch along that we are starting. We had sent out earlier notifications about joining. People have purchased the kit from us, and then all these videos on how to do them are all included.
Do you want to address the quilt behind you? It's an antique.
Oh, the quilt behind me? Isn't it a darling? I bought this at an antique shop on the way to Michigan, going up the UP. So it's very unique, and I just love all those little circles, but it is an antique. And one of these days, it'd be cool to kind of maybe replicate that one, right? So The problem is I have so many and I don't know when it's going to come up. But Kaylee found this in the quilt closet and she thought it would kind of, you know, summery romance. It kind of went along with the summer romance theme there.
I honestly thought it was a new quilt.
You thought it was a new
Yeah.
quilt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that close to it, but
It's probably
kinda neat.
late 1880s.
It's unique.
It's got a lot of matter in it, but look at how they turn those little perfect circles way back when. Somebody knew what they were doing. All right. It's okay if we get off a little bit, right? This is live. I said, Kayla, let's shoot live so you don't have to edit. It saves us a lot. But thank you for noticing that beautiful, beautiful quilt. So this is what I have left because I knew I would have to demo. So I have my last block here sitting with all its pieces and parts. But this is skipping ahead. I need to explain all the steps here, right? Okay, so back to our pattern. Now, I know when you look at this pattern, it's a lot, all right? So in your mind, you got to kind of like wrap your head around how much we're doing here. So if you're doing the 4 blocks, you're looking at all the blue lettering. If you're doing the 9 blocks, you're looking at all the purplish lettering. If you're doing the big mama like I am, I don't know why, but it's going to be beautiful, that's for sure. The big one, 16 blocks, is in green. So those are all your letters. Now, so I'm doing the big one, and I have the big kid here. So looking at this paper, I want you to look at your whole pattern. So this guy right here, excuse me, we are going to cut this here and maybe move that around. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But this is our flowers. This is our leaves. And then we have some borders here that we do not need right away. So you're going to put those aside for now because that'll be another video later on. But we are going to do all the prepping for that now, for all of those. Yes, Kaylee, you could. Oh, am I doing shadows or making a mess?
No, but when we get to next steps.
Okay, next steps. All right, so once you decide and wrap your head around which one we're doing, how many of you have started off doing 16 and then maybe changed your mind and are doing 9? Or how many of you thought you should do 4, but maybe now you think you should do more? There's always all these decisions that we need to make. Okay, so now to trace. We have a couple different things in here. So I got to make sure I don't forget anything. I'm going to go back and do stems after I trace a little bit for here to show you how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to just use the large one for example, because that's what my head knows is the large one. So when you look at this piece right here, and it has 100 total flowers for 16 blocks. So I know I need 100 flowers and I have 8 different wools. So here it says trace 13 sets of flowers on 8 different wool. So what 13 sets means is that's the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then here, this little shaded one, I have to do that one twice. So that's my 13 8 different wools. So all I'm going to do now is grab my fusible web. Now let's talk a little bit about fusible web before we go on here. For the appliques, I'm going to use the Featherlight. So the Featherlight has the fusible here. You can kind of see it when you look at it. It looks like snake skin. The only thing with this fusible web is that if you press on it while you're tracing, it could transfer to the paper or to the table that you are drawing on. So kind of be aware that there's nothing protecting this fusible web. So when I lay this down, and you don't need a light table for this, you can really see right through this. Now I'm just going to start tracing on here because this is also I'm going to check this out. Can you grab me out of my kit 1 piece of wool for a flower? So I had them there so I could just pull them. All right. So when you look at this, it's going to be in the same direction as this as well. So when I put this on here, do you see how it's perfectly the right size and a little bigger than what I need? So you could essentially just lay this on your piece of fabric, or piece of fusible, sorry, and you could draw like a little box around this, like so. And I know I need to get my 13 sets on this box that I have here now. So I'm going to start by putting this in the bottom corner like I had. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Always conserving, and then I'll just maybe use a different marker. You can use Sharpies, you can use pencils, you can use whatever you want for tracing. Just don't use friction, okay, for tracing. So we're going to trace all of these little shapes. So we need a big, a medium, and a small for each one. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of time here tracing this. So while I'm tracing, please ask me some questions so we can fill some of this dead air, because you know I'm not really good at talking all the time. I'm a little shy. Do we have any questions, girls, so far?
Is there any reason why I can't scan and cut with my brother's scan and cut machine?
All right. So I know there's all kinds of different ways to scan and cut. I just don't know how to tell you that. There are some people in our group that can obviously help you do this. I'm old-fashioned, all right? I can trace. I know not everybody can trace. I get it. But usually those of you who have those fancy machines know how to figure this out, because you're technically, I am not. So if you do know how to use the way to put the fusible sheets through your machine, maybe somebody in our Stitch with Lisa Bongean Facebook group can maybe put some of those instructions on how to do that. I do not, so I apologize for that. But it's one of those things, unless you do it, I don't want to pretend I know how to do it, okay? Any other questions? How many of you love tracing? How many of you hate this part? What part don't you like? Is it you're not steady? Is it you think it takes too long? And kind of know that the scissors, when you're cutting out, that really helps you smooth any, wiggly lines or anything like that. And I promise I won't make you watch me do all of the leaves as well.
Wendy says she likes all the processes.
All of it? Yeah, I do too. I don't mind this. By the time I figure out how to run this through my machine, I could have it traced.
Do you consider this an advanced project, beginner, intermediate?
I probably would consider this a beginner project, because it's the same block over and over again. So we really are going to get a lot of practice on these stitches and this methods of putting wool on a quilt block. I know there's not a lot of information out there on how to do that, but you just, back in the day, I guess I didn't realize that people weren't putting wool on fabric. I just thought that why not, right? If I want to use wool as appliques instead of cotton needle turn, there would be no big deal. But I didn't know that nobody was putting it on cotton. They were only putting wool on wool at the time when I started putting it on cotton. So I didn't know there were rules, which there really aren't. You just make them up as you go. And what I'm teaching you is how I work with wool. So it's not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's not the only way. It's just how I do it. So you take from me what you like and use it, and what maybe you like to do something else different. That is perfectly fine. There's 26 different ways to applique. All right. So this is the wool applique, and again, I'm just teaching you how I do it. I want everybody to love wool applique as much as I do. You can do anything. Anybody can do this type of applique. So I have 12. Remember, I need 13. So I'm just going to move over and do one more here. One more set of 3, small, medium, and large. So again, I promise I won't make you sit through me cutting all 8 of them and all the leaves as well, okay? I'm going to make you watch me cut stems because that's very important. All right, so here is my 13, and we're going to trace 8 sets of this because we have 8 different wools. Now I could use my rotary cutter and cut this all out on my mat if I was at home. That's probably what I would do, but I'm sitting here with you guys now. So I'm just going to basically rough cut my fusible web right outside the drawn lines, about 1/8 inch away, like so. Okay, so you're going to trace 8 of these, and then we're going to get our wool. Maybe I'll have to give this away to somebody who purchases a kit, all right? Because what am I going to do with this? Now, when you look at your wool, you need to decide, what side do you like better? Do you like that side, or do you like that side? So there is no right or wrong side. It's just different sides. So if you like this dark stuff and you want that to show through on your shapes, it kind of is like gathered on the edge here. So you're not going to get a lot of it. But you could press this, or you don't really have to. But now look at how this fits right on our piece of wool. It's magic. So whatever size that you need to do, your kit will correlate with that. And we do have some extra because obviously, you know, maybe you'll lose a piece or two. So we do have a little bit extra up here if you would lose any of your shapes and have to go back and trace a few that get lost. Okay, so now after we have all 8 of these, we would take our wools. You can press your wool, like I said, if you want. Steam, flatten it out, lay our fusible down. Now with this fusible web, you don't need steam now, but you need to really heat it really good. Lots of heat. But I always keep the iron moving. And make sure that you're using feather light, not regular light heat and bond. We want the feather light. With all the stacking of the wools, it'd be the light heat and bond is really kind of stiff. So see how I'm just making sure that everything is down really good, but I'm always keeping the iron moving.
Lisa, how long does fusible web last for stickiness once you expose it to the air?
So stickiness with fusible web. You really don't want your fusible web to be sticky. All right, so make sure that you just keep it protected either on the bolt in a plastic bag or anything like that. This fusible web, like I said, it really is only affected if you're leaning on it on a table and then you pick it up and it would stick to the table because the heat from your body is stuck on that. All right, so now I have all of this on here. And then, of course, it's time to cut it all out. So I would go in here and with my rotary cutter and I would just strip this all and I would kind of rough cut it all like so. And then I would start cutting right on the line now. So you never cut fusible web on the line until it's on the wool.
Do you ever have to worry about reversing the images before you?
Okay, great question. So the question was, do we have to worry about reversing? Are you mic'd up? No?
It's on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen. Okay. You do. However, most all of my patterns have all the tracing reversed for you. All right. So we do, when you look at your pattern, you have tracing sheets and then you have layout sheets. So here's like a layout sheet. You're not going to trace from this, even though everything on this is symmetrical. So this wouldn't matter, but just get used to always tracing from the tracing guide here, not that piece where the layout is. So just a quick few little comments. This is my most favorite scissors. This part here is rounded. That's the top blade. I use them in my fingers very lightly. I hang on to them. And then I just kind of lightly hang on to my wool as I turn my wool, and I kind of keep my scissors stationary. And I'm just nicely rounding nice little curves here, despite if my tracing is not good. So there, and then one more little one I'm going to cut out. So that's how I cut out. Like that. Okay. So you're going to do that for all of your flowers, all of your leaves. I'm just going to park these in here. I don't want to lose this, okay? So I'm going to set that aside. Can you set that aside, please? All right, so then the same thing you're going to do for your leaves. All right, so over here, it's going to tell you you need 63 leaves for 4 blocks. That means 63 leaves 4 times. So you would trace in the blue line. So this is for the 4 block. And then 112 leaves for the 9. So you would trace this many 4 times for the 9 blocks. And then we need 175 leaves for 16 blocks. So you're going to trace all of this plus this shaded area again. So the whole thing up to here, and then this area again 4 times for your leaves. Okay? So hopefully that is all basic and you can understand how you're going to do that. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit here now and grab my pattern directions so I don't miss anything. Do you need to worry? Do you starch wool? No, no, don't starch the wool. We don't want stiff wool. Okay, so then we have our stems. So I have this piece that I'm cutting my stems out of, and obviously I didn't have this pattern when I started. So I have a lot more stems here now than I really need. But you're going to take your piece of stem wool and you are going to do a piece of, Kaylee, you moved my Steam-A-Seam 2. It's got the yellow grid on it. Okay, so here is a piece of Steam-A-Seam 2. So you are going to get yourself some of this, and it doesn't matter if it's in one piece or if you have to piece sheets together to get this long piece, but you want a piece of wool, you want your piece of fusible to match your piece of wool. So you're going to put a piece of fusible web, the Steam-A-Seam 2 light on this, but the Steam-A-Seam 2 light is different than the heat and bond. So what this looks like is when you pull this apart, and you look at it, because, and this is a perfect prime example, right here, this is supposed to be the tracing side with the grid on it, but when I pull it apart, the fusible is sticking to the back side. So here's my fusible, and here's the back paper. So I would cut my strip the same size as my wool, and I would put it on this way. So you need to cut your wool, peel the backing paper off, and then iron it on just like I did for the flowers. And this looks like exactly the same because there's no grid on here too. So sometimes on that Steam-A-Seam 2 light, it switches sides. So just kind of, you got to kind of be smarter than it. It tends to be very sticky, and that is the reason why I only use it on my stems and vines. So on the block, you'll see here that we don't bite into the stem, we go over the top of it. So that is why I can use this really sticky fusible, and you're gonna understand why I want that real sticky fusible when we are laying the block down, and why I don't want the other fusible, because I can't bend it and stick it around that circle. Okay, any questions before I start cutting some stems?
Is there ever an instance where you do use Steam-A-Seam light?
Steam-A-Seam 2 light?
No, just Steam-A-Seam light.
No. 2 means the papers. It has a paper on the front and the back. So I never have used the other one. I don't know if it's, is there just a Steam-A-Seam light? I don't know, Jess.
She says she has a whole box.
Okay.
It's probably, it could possibly be
Old.
Let me just
Yeah.
double check.
Jess is going to look for that. Okay. Do you ever, okay, there's the question. Okay.
The leaves, do you round the points? For the leaves.
The leaves, do you, yes. Okay, that is a great question. So let me pull out my little kit here once so I can talk a little bit about, thank you for doing that. So when you see the leaves on the pattern sheet, you will notice that they are kind of pointy, but when I cut them out, I tend to round them off a little bit. So you kind of see that? At least one point. The one that can either touch or that touches the vine, I probably really don't do that one, but a little bit. It's always easier to stitch a nice rounded point than a pointy point. Okay, great question. Good job. All right, so I'm getting rid of that. All right, in your pattern here, it shows you how many stems are needed right down here. So it says if you're doing the small quilt, 36 stems, 64 for the 9, and 100 for the big one. Now, you could cut stems any way you want, but I have a really great method. And then also, when you are prepping, you can also iron your 2 little ones to the big one right away if you want. So when I was kind of laying out my blocks, I kind of did that. So here is my stems here that I have pre-cut, but I'm going to show you how to do those. Here is all my leaves. We'll put those over there. And hopefully there's enough leaves there. I counted right, but if not, we'll just wing it. So that is what I'm going to need to lay down my first block. Here's some more leaves in here.
And I do not see a Steam-A-Seam 2 or just a regular Steam-A-Seam anymore. So
Yeah.
It could be a little bit older.
Yeah, so Jess said, I think you heard that she can't find Steam-A-Seam light, only Steam-A-Seam 2. Do you rip flannel for background? Just like I just showed you, no matter what. Straight of grained is your friend. And with our kits here at Primitive Gatherings, we always give you plenty background, enough to make a mistake. All right, so nobody ever comes back and yells at me that they have too much fabric. So I'd rather you know, like if it's 6 yards, I'd rather give you 6.5, 7 yards sometimes, just to make sure you have enough. Okay, so as you can see with the wool, we gave you plenty. We didn't give you, I mean, a couple little spots where you could do another big one, but for the most part, the big ones aren't the ones you lose. Okay, so here is my stems already fused down, and now I'm going to cut. So if you didn't have a trimmed edge, like I already have a trimmed edge here, you would just take your ruler and you would just trim up one edge here, and then you're going to flip that over, and now that is my straight edge here. So you want to prep one straight edge. Now, before I start cutting, I do want to talk about the ruler here. So this is a stem cutting ruler, and it comes in 2 different sizes. Sometimes we have longer stems, so I have a ruler that's about 14, 15 inches, and then this one I believe is 8 inches. And this one is perfect for cutting this project. So that's why I didn't say, hey, get the big one. You can get either one on this one. So if you are right or left-handed, you look for right hand or left hand. So I'm right-handed. So I'm going to lay this down on my fabric this way on top of my fusible web. You always want to cut on the fusible web side, not on the wool side. This is just harder to navigate than this way. Okay. Now there is a secret. These lines are 3/16. That's why I had to make a separate ruler to cut multiple 3/16. Now you'll look at the stem, you look, oh yeah, that's little. But when you look at the block after it's stitched, now they look 1/4 of an inch. The stitching makes them chubbier or fatter. So that's why I like to cut them a little smaller. And then by the time I stitch them, then they look the size I want them to look, which is 1/4 of an inch. So that's why the special ruler. If you want to cut them 1/4 of an inch, cut them 1/4 of an inch if you don't like the 3/16. But it's all up to you. Nobody is going to know. All right. So you want to stand to do your cutting always. Now, I'm cutting multiples, obviously, for this. And this ruler cuts 16 at a time. So I'm just going to measure up my ruler here at right on the edge. And then I'm going to cut. And then all I need to do is slide to the next one and cut. And I just keep sliding over to keep cutting. And you will notice that I have hands on the ruler and fingers off the ruler for stabilization. And that's all you do is you just keep moving it over. Now, if you didn't have this ruler, you would just have to use your you have to find out where you think 3/16 is, and you would cut, and you'd have to pick it up, slide it over, put it back down, cut another one. So that's how you do it that way. If you don't have this ruler, if you have this ruler, it's much easier to just keep cutting. Okay. Anybody have any questions on the stem cutting part of this?
No questions.
No questions. Easy, right? Super simple. All right, this one is mine. I got to put that in mine. Okay. So let me just, how are we doing up there?
It's good for now.
It's good?
For now.
All right. Kaylee said we might have to do a little break if my camera overhead starts to run out of battery.
Will this video be on the website for later watching?
You bet. We are going to plug it under our Summer Romance series. So they'll be on YouTube under its...
It's already on, actually. There's a link for the live on the information page at
Okay.
lisabongean.com.
Okay, so we have them in a couple spots, but you can just go right to lisabongean.com, go to quilt alongs, and then under there you'll find a big pretty icon that I think Kaylee made. Kaylee, did you make that or did you make that?
I
I made it. The summer romance icon.
Yeah,
the
so
header,
then
yeah, but the icon for it though I made.
We both did.
It was collaborative.
okay, quit fighting over it.
Yes, arm
They
wrestle.
both do a fabulous job. Whoever did it is fabulous.
Fab.
Okay, awesome. So you'll just go to that icon and then you'll just have to click on it and it'll bring you right to the YouTube videos. So we've done all the work for you if you can't find them on YouTube. And please tell everybody you know about this stuff so they can watch it as well. We are here to get you all hooked up on this wool, all crazy about it.
So if they have not joined up with the stitch along yet, and now after seeing you, or they want to, how do they go about doing that?
It's all on our website. You can go right to the page. You have purchasing options there on the page where you can purchase this kit. If anybody wants this big kit, hey, shout her out. If you make the purchase today, and we'll make sure this kit goes to somebody who watched today. What was
I have
that?
no idea.
Uh-oh. Hang on a minute, people. We just had like the earth shift.
I don't know.
We'll take a time here to
We'll figure it out. Jeff went to.
blow my nose here for a second. Sorry about that. Okay, now laying out. Oh, I just love this fun part. Okay, so here we go. Here's our pattern. We need to cut this off. So what you do when you cut this off is you make sure you cut into that, because when you need to add this on, you don't want any white showing. You want it to be exactly there. So that's why we do that, so you can have the full layout.
I think it was a sonic boom from the Jets.
It was a sonic boom from the Jets. So
That's our, because I mean, they checked all around the building.
okay.
literally
It sounded
checked the
like
whole
somebody
building.
dropped the air conditioning unit on the top of the building.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like for us. I don't know if
The whole
you
building
heard it,
moved.
but we felt it. We were like,
Yep.
all right, so here it is, our whole layout. So I'm just going to lay that on my light box. Whoops, sorry. All right, so I'm going to turn on my light box. And if you do a lot of wool applique like I do, you are going to want to work on this beautiful light box. Ooh, it makes me look like a ghost. Look at it, I look like my quilt. My hair matches the color of that quilt. And I always like to tape it down. That's why my light box looks so crappy and beat up, because I have tape marks all over it. Okay, so I have that all right there. And if you wanted to, you could do like a line across the middle here, if that would help you as well. So we could do like a little cross here on these if you want. Sometimes that helps people. All right, so now I'm going to take my background and I'm going to lay it onto my background here. And I'm going to find that center and make sure my little crease is in that center. But don't worry too much, because we are so big compared to, we're going to trim this down to 12.5. And right now we're at 14, 15 inches here. So do you see all that? Okay. So now the first thing I'm going to do is my stems. I'm going to pull off the backing strip here, like so. And then if you wanted to, you could take a pencil and trace this line in here, like so. But if you have a beautiful light table like this, it's really simple just to place it on that line that the graphic designer has made for us. And this one isn't as sticky as it should be because it was kind of unprotected for a while. So this one I kind of maybe pull it a little bit to reactivate the stickiness of this one. So just lightly run it on the curve and clip off the bigger ones if it hangs over a little too much. Okay, now this one. So this is why we want the pre-stick one. I could not do this with the other fusible web. It would not, it would just slide all over the place. You'd have to like go like that with the iron all at the same time, which is too much in my world. All right, where's the fourth one? I just had it there, didn't I? Steal one of the new ones. It'll show up after I find a new one. It's the way it goes. So peel the paper off.
Do you have a favorite light box you want to talk about?
Yes, I was talking about that, and then I got sidetracked. So thank you. My light box is a daylight box. I believe it's wafer. We have it on our
I'm about to throw a link in the chat. Yep.
Okay,
it's
Heidi's
on
got a
sale
link
for-
for it.
It's on sale for less than $200 right now.
Oh, it's on sale?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
For like 50% off.
Wow, go grab one. You deserve it. And then tell your husband that's what you want for Christmas and say, it's already on its way. Or however that works for you. Okay, so now I have all of my stems down, and now I'm going to place the leaves. So I'm going to just put all my leaves over here. And
Is there a bias in wool?
is there a bias in wool? Sure, there's a bias in anything, but here's the thing. You don't have to cut your stems on bias with wool because you can get them to turn. Even if they're straight, you can get them to do this. Okay? All right. So now, to put all the leaves on, I like to click them all wool side up. Now, this tweezers is my best friend. I cannot work without this tweezers, and you will see why in a second. All right, so I'm just going to pick up, peel off, and place down. Now, I'm not going to put my leaves under the stem. I'm just going to touch them right up against the stem. If you want to put them under, you can. I don't think it needs to. When I stitch them, I kind of stitch them like it's actually touching that. I'll stitch right into that a little bit to make sure they touch. All righty, get back there. All right. So see how easy this is to pull off all the papers with this magic tweezers. And this is the Martelli tweezers. And I know that a lot of people will come to my class with another tweezers. That's all fine and dandy if you can get it to work, but nothing works like this one does. It is super, you don't have to go like, you can just touch it and pick it up. That's how simple it is. And that's why I think the extra fine points of the tweezers actually, I'm like, what is going on?
Checking for belly button.
All right. So your paper should come off really nice. If it doesn't, if it looks like it's, you know, not coming off really good, or you can tell that the fusible is still on the paper, that means you didn't put enough heat on it. Remember, you cannot wreck the fusible web with heat. So don't worry about wrecking it. Don't worry about what the directions say on it. Just throw them away. It's not for wool applique. It's for everything else but wool applique, okay? So don't read those instructions. Use the instructions that we tell you in our books and patterns and videos. Did I make it look easy? It is easy. Especially now that you have all of my secrets. I gotta move that one over a little bit. Was Jessica still in here?
And she ran as soon as she heard the sonic boom.
Oh. All right, looks like I have all 7 of them down. What's that? I missed one? Okay. I always ask Kaylee to look through the lens of the camera because that's where you see everything. It's very hard to see everything when it's your face is right next to it. All right, get back where you were. I should have taped that down. Okay, so now I had an extra leaf. I'm going to put that, save that for borders. And I believe, oh no, I can't say that. It depends on how many you're doing. So now I need to take off the big flower and plunk that on. All right, I got blues, greens, and purples. So I'm going to maybe do the cool colors across from each other. It really doesn't matter because you really have to spread it out. So even though this one I'm doing this way, in the next block, it would be totally different because you don't want all your blocks to look the same. So use different colors in different combinations in blocks. All right, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? These wools are just so yummy. All right, I'm done with the light box. So what I would normally do, and I usually do this, my light box sits here, and I have like 2 ironing stations. Here's an ironing station, here's an ironing station. But that ironing station has my light box in one corner. So after I'm done with the light box, I just kind of slide it on over to the other where my iron is. So now I'm just going to slide this on up here and slide it over to me. And now I'm going to steam it. Not on my light box, though. So we're going to have, Kaylee, can you pull that one away from me? And hang on, I could probably do that. There we go. All right, so, and I'm just for the heck of it, because I'm so bad, can you pull the mat out your way too? Because I already put a wrinkle in this mat, and it's a brand new mat. All right. So even though you have these mats, they still will wrinkle your cutting mat if you press on that. All right, so here I am ready to steam. Now, this is where we want steam. So with this iron, I have to purge it to get everything out of the line every time I pick it up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it down, give it a little press to kind of make sure I have everything down. And then I'm going to go back and do tiny little presses. And I have written tiny little presses, always keeping the iron moving so many times in my life that I should have it tattooed on me. All right, so once it looks like I have everything down, I also flip it around this way and do the back side. I have really good luck, and here you don't have to press up and down. You can kind of even give yourself some ironing paths. Okay? All right, so there we have it, our first block. You are going to continue to keep doing this until you have your 4, your 9, or your 16 blocks. And then we are going to start stitching. But I know this is a lot to do now, but I think because some of you only have 4 blocks, that we are going to do a little blanket stitch tutorial on how to do the leaves. All right, so I'm going to get ready to do that. So I'm going to come back in a minute or two. So now is a good time to take a little break, and we'll be right back, okay? Except I just need to find my scissors, which was. Everybody see it?
Your scissors. It's underneath your mat on the corner top right.
There it is. Okay. All right. So our stitching should be a whole nother video. So let me just kind of preface that. And Kaylee is really not set up to do close-up for this. So I'm just going to give you a quick little introduction to it, but we will cover it again in its whole video, where I'll teach you how to do blanket stitch on leaves, blanket stitch on flowers. And okay, so I'm going to do all that again, but I'm just going to just maybe you only have 4 blocks and you want to start stitching. I don't want to hold you up, okay? So there's a lot of leaves on these blocks. I don't think anybody's going to be too mad if I give them a little head start on this. Okay, so this is my set of threads here. It's kind of well used now. I've, gone through some there. So, but this one is a full set. You probably got threads. If not, just find some threads that go along with it. And we did have a couple that kind of are, like there's no difference. You might have gotten this thread or this thread. Don't worry, they're all going to look fabulous. Okay. All right. So we need a needle. So I am going to pick the 22 chenille needle. I am working with all 8 weight threads here. So I'm going to do a bigger needle to make it easy to handle and to thread and all those things. You're going to love working with this 22 chenille needle. So you're going to grab your leaf thread, which is the 122, I believe. Yep, 122. And if you have the 12 weights at home and want to use the 12 weights, go ahead and use your 12 weights. There's no right or wrong. You can use whatever one you want, but I've used all 8s on mine. So I'm going to cut a piece of thread, not super huge. So if you really want to be technical, you could measure this thread, stitch 1 leaf, and then cut all of your threads that length so you have that amount, so you're not wasting any thread. All right, so I'm going to thread the needle by placing the eye directly on the center of my thread and then I'm going to let go of everything else, and I'm going to push down, and that thread's going to pop right into the eye so I can pull it through. And then we're going to put a knot on the bottom. And again, I am using this 122 here. And this is Valdani thread. I picked Valdani thread because I had to pick something. I love how beautiful the Valdani threads, the variegation. They look just like these flowers. So when you see those, you're going to be like, yeah. And I couldn't find a nice pink that was variegated, so I used a solid. No big deal. So do you see how beautifully all of these threads are going to look on our flowers? Okay. Quick little demo on blanket stitching. So because we don't have a, we got to stitch all the way around, I'm going to start somewhere on the edge here, not at the point. Don't start at the point. So you see where I am here on the top of the shape. All right. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to pull the thread back. And my first stitch is going to go straight down and straight up. Now there's going to be some fancy stitching in these leaves. So you really don't want to do huge stitches. So I do about between less than a quarter, about an 1/8 inch stitch is probably what they really are. So see how I am just stitching in, coming into the background. The thread is behind the needle. I pull it the direction where I want it to lie, which is on the side. I swing it around. All right, so let's pretend that I ran out of thread. I'll teach you how to end. So I'm going to go forward, but right next to where I was. And then I flip it to the back side. I make a little bite into the leaf shape, and I create a loop. Then I go through the loop once, twice, same direction. That's like a surgical knot. So it'll slip right down and knot. Now I could cut it, or I could bury my tail as well underneath that and just cut it nice and tight like that. Okay, so that would be how you would end. And then to start up again, you'd put your knot in, you'd come around to the front. Now, you want to go on the opposite side that you ended. So I'm going to go under the top and to the right of my last stitch. So I'll wait for Kaylee to get it overhead so you can see where my needle is here. Let's see if I put it, what angle here? Oh. So I'm on the side, right-hand side of the stitch. I'm coming up there, and I'm just going to lay it down and keep stitching. And every time I throw my thread counterclockwise like this, that's keeping the thread behind the needle. Okay, now I just want to show you a point. So when we get to the point, or the rounded point, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go in the center, and we're going to go one to that side, go into the same hole again, come to the point, into that same hole again, and out the opposite side. So I just did 1, 2, 3 stitches in the same hole. And then now I'll turn my work and then start stitching down the side of the leaf. All right, and then when I get all the way down here and around, I'm going to do that same corner here, and then I'm going to end right in the 90 degree of the first that first stitch. So where the top and the side is, I'm going to put my needle right there, and then that is where I'm going to end, right in there. And I know my thread matches, so it's not hard to see, but we will do this video again for the stems, or for the leaves and the flowers. Okay? All right, so I think that is going to get you a pretty good start of laying down and prepping all of your blocks for our summer romance. and we will get going on video the other steps. I don't know if those will be live. They probably will be recorded, just because time. But we wanted to do the first one live to see if you had some questions, and maybe we like it live. I don't know. We'll see if you guys like it, that you can interact with me and that you can ask me questions. But I also want to talk about my wool and needle flannel book. So if you don't have that, it is very good because it has 1,000,000 pictures in it. So every time I'm stitching and the needle or my hand moves, it is a picture or an explanation. So I just was reading on Amazon all of the reviews of my book, because I don't know where, we don't really do a lot of reviews on our site, but people do sell my book on Amazon, and it's just fun to read what they say about that. But I think I have 4.8 stars, and if there's any negative comments about my book, it's about the condition it came in, or shipping stuff. So it's nothing about the content in the book. It's about the shipper or how it came damaged or stuff like that. So I believe they really like my book. Okay, so if you're on the fence about buying it, I would not hesitate to buy it. It is definitely worth the price of that. You'll pay way more for a class from me, and you'll have everything that I teach right there in that book. All right, so what do we have left for today? Anything?
What is the name of your book?
My name of the book is Wool, Needle, and Thread, The Complete Guide.
And I threw a link in the comments.
All right, so, and Heidi has thrown a link in the comment here. If you want to purchase that, so you could be able to just click on that right there. I see it at 11:16. She put that in there, and you can they just click on that, or do they have to? Okay.
They should be able to. If it's not working,
Hover and click on it?
Yep.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work for some reason, just go to our website and throw it in the search
Right.
bar.
And again, if you have any questions about what we talked about here that maybe you think about after this video, you can always put them in the comment section of the videos, or you can always go to our Facebook group called Stitch with Lisa Bongean and put your question in there, and we will answer things in that group there as well. All right, I'm super excited for you to finally get prepping and a little bit of stitching going on these leaves, and we will be back again with another video. All right, everyone, take care and happy Tuesday. Bye now.